If Title X was eliminated, 4 million patients would lose their preventive health care.
We're in Austin, Indiana, with the big HIV outbreak.
Like I say, there's hope, a lot of it.
The question to me is what's going to happen to women in rural America who have very little access to affordable health care?
We are pulling up to a Planned Parenthood in suburban Indianapolis. We're going to try to interact with some of the protesters who are trying to convince women coming in not to have abortions. Hey, how you guys doing today?
Can we give you any help?
Sure.
Got someone in there. There's a number to call there. Please read it.
Okay. Can you guys tell us why you're out here every single day? Like, what are you trying to get across?
The women, to give them another choice. We've found that most women regret their abortions.
And what do you think about the current debate right now about defunding Planned Parenthood?
Well, I don't think they should get our tax money.
No?
No.
Even though such a small percentage of the work they do is actually abortion?
I do not believe that.
What about the preventative work that they're doing in terms of, birth control and safe sex that kind of makes it so that there aren't unwanted pregnancies?
Well, it's kind of like saying, I have a great dry cleaner, and he gets my spots out really well, but in the back, he's having a dog fight going on back there. Do we excuse the killing of, over at this facility, 3,000 infants a year?
Say the words Planned Parenthood anywhere in America, and you'll be met with a tidal wave of opinions. The country's largest provider of reproductive health services. It's been highly controversial since founded by birth control activists 100 years ago. Roe v. Wade, the landmark 1973 Supreme Court ruling, largely cemented a woman's right to get an abortion, but it hasn't stopped the pro-life movement from doing their best to make it as difficult as possible.
Make no mistake, this is a repeal and a replace of Obamacare. Make no mistake about it.
And now, with the Trump administration's crusade to repeal and replace Obamacare, Planned Parenthood is back in the crosshairs in conservative America, driving divisions to new extremes.
My body, my choice!
Life is winning in America.
Indiana, where pro-life champion Mike Pence was governor from 2013 to 2016, could be considered ground zero. And recently, pro-life Republicans, led by Vice President Pence, have scored a historic blow against Planned Parenthood.
And when they vote to repeal and replace Obamacare, we will finally defund Planned Parenthood.
The new proposed healthcare plan would block Planned Parenthood from receiving Medicaid reimbursements for a year. That's about 30% of its funding.
If Title X was eliminated, 4 million patients across the country would lose their preventive health care.
Title X is the federal grant that partially funds Planned Parenthood.
And there is no provider network to step in and take care of those patients. It would have horrible consequences.
In the midst of this battle, it's no wonder Planned Parenthood is going all out with its annual fundraising gala in Indianapolis.
Why do you think it's especially important to contribute to Planned Parenthood this year?
Well, Governor Pence and now Vice President Pence is leading an agenda which wants to take health care away from women, and it's just terrible. I'm personally against abortions, and the best way to reduce them is to give family planning.
People were talking about what it would be like for Trump to go away. I want Trump to run his whole presidency because I know what America under Mike Pence would look like, and no one will say that.
And now the grand goddess of the nationwide fight for reproductive justice, Cecile Richards.
It's great to be back with P-Pink and all the goddesses and gods.
For Planned Parenthood President Cecile Richards, holding the line here in Indiana is crucial to the organization.
The challenge now is really because we have a Congress and an administration and then some state legislatures that are, frankly, completely committed to ending access to health care, not only at Planned Parenthood, but more broadly.
Perhaps the biggest hurdle for Planned Parenthood is the intense focus on abortion. Despite the fact that abortions only account for 3% of their services, and taxpayer money has never funded them. Lost under the roar of this battle is the real story. The countless Americans who have the most to lose if preventative health care services are cut. This is Austin, Indiana. In 2015, Austin made national news. In a rural community of around 4,000 people, 130 HIV cases were diagnosed in just a few months.
Well, an outbreak of the HIV virus in Indiana is spreading so fast, a team from the CDC is now involved, and the state's governor was forced to extend a health emergency declared last month.
The outbreak, linked to IV drug use, forced then-Governor Pence to send in emergency treatment services and a needle exchange program at a total cost of almost $60 million.
I'm giving the authority to local officials today to establish a focused short-term program on the basis of a public health emergency.
24-year-old Morgan Riley has lived in Austin all her life.
I noticed a lot of my friends from school started disappearing, but it seems like it happened like overnight. And it kind of always scared me, you know, until I found myself in the middle of it. It's like the first time you do it, it's just you're sunk right into it, you're pulled into it.
And what was everyone doing, like what pills?
Opanas, and then they disappeared, and then it was just all heroin. And the only way people would do it would be to shoot it.
But most of the drug use, and I assume the HIV outbreak stuff, was concentrated right in this area?
Yes.
That's crazy, it was just like a couple of blocks.
But Austin isn't an isolated case. The opioid epidemic is ravaging towns across the country, particularly in rural America, where local economies are suffering. Federal health officials say 220 counties across America are at risk for a drug-related HIV outbreak. And many of these communities are where Planned Parenthood is a frontline healthcare provider.
Were there any resources in town to help you get out of this, or help anyone else get out of this when they were going through it?
Didn't come until after the HIV epidemic. That's whenever, you know, most of it started happening to help people.
In 2011, Governor Mitch Daniels, Pence's predecessor, cut off funding to Planned Parenthood, leading to multiple clinic closures.
Governor Mitch Daniels has promised to sign a bill next week which will strip Planned Parenthood of federal funding.
The last Planned Parenthood in Scott County closed in 2013, a couple of years before the HIV cases spiked.
There was a Planned Parenthood in Scottsburg that closed down in 2013. Do you think that if that was still open, that addicts would have gone to it or would have used it? You think it could have made a difference?
It could have, most definitely, yeah. I know I used it whenever I was in high school, and then it closed, and then it was just kind of like, okay, well, guess I'll just do it this way now, you know?
Every year, Planned Parenthood clinics perform more than 650,000 HIV tests. These are free for patients on Medicaid.
Half of our health centers, and we have almost 650 health centers in the US, half of them are in medically underserved communities. And for so many of these women, including here in Indiana and Kentucky, this may be the only doctor visit they get all year. And so not only does Planned Parenthood provide family planning, but we provide their cancer screenings, their well woman visits, again, whatever their annual physical is. And these women are desperately concerned about how they're going to get access to affordable health care.
This map of existing clinics shows a lot of empty space in the middle of the country, where conservative beliefs often dictate policy. It's not quite as dire in Indiana, but that may change soon. This part of the country has already been hit with a lot. High unemployment, addiction, and the health issues that go along with that. And if the new healthcare plan leads to more clinic shutdowns, it's about to take another hit.
I mean, do you remember when you first heard that you were HIV positive?
I don't even remember it. This is how messed up I was. Then when I heard all the rest of my friends, you know, saying, hey, I've got it and stuff. And I even thought, well, I want to have it if they've got it. And that's the way I started justifying it, you know, to be able to live with it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you knew you had it. Was it were you in denial, or did you just not care that?
I don't believe I even cared.
Yeah.
You know, I guess I can say I didn't care.
But Dora also echoes a point I've heard some Republicans say, that Planned Parenthood isn't enough for people most at risk for HIV, and that funds could be better spent on treatment and counseling centers.
So if you're dealing with people that's in deep addiction, from my life, what I saw, you know, I practically would have had to have somebody come to me. And they took my grandchildren, I went to rehab. So that gave them more hope, you know, so they've got hope now because they see hope in me. My grandkids won't have to live through this. Like I say, there's hope, a lot of it. So I've got a long way to go, but yes, it's a really life worth living.
If passed, the new healthcare plan would direct federal family planning funds to community health centers. These health centers don't offer abortions, and for politicians and voters in this part of the country, that's still what matters most. Hey, Senator, thank you so much for taking the time to do this with us. I really appreciate it. Kentucky State Senator Max Wise authored a bill to divert state funds from Planned Parenthood.
In Kentucky, we have over 538 community health department and clinics that are available for women to go to. Planned Parenthood does not do what we call true family planning. When we looked at, 2014-15, Planned Parenthood nationwide performed 323,000 some abortions. And so, Kentucky wanted to take a stance, and I think other states are going to follow suit.
For religious conservatives like Kentucky Governor Matt Bevin, as long as Planned Parenthood is an abortion provider, nothing else they do matters.
Planned Parenthood is illegally performing abortions in Kentucky.
In 2016, Governor Bevin sent a cease and desist letter to this brand new Louisville Planned Parenthood clinic.
How long was your facility open for?
A day.
A single day?
A day. Our abortion services side, our family planning side has remained open.
The basis of Bevin's suit was a small code violation, some missing paperwork with an ambulance company.
So you have this brand new, super updated facility, and you guys just can't use it?
Yeah, no, it's a facility that is encompassing of a recovery room, surgical rooms. The fact that it's remained empty now for the last year and a half has been really heartbreaking to a lot of us because we know the barriers for so many are insurmountable in this area.
Now, Governor Bevin has turned his attention to the last place to get a legal abortion in Kentucky, the private EMW clinic in Louisville.
Let us pray that all pro-lifers will spread this victory to every segment of our society.
Earlier this year, Governor Bevin ordered this clinic to shut down, citing a similar code violation.
We had 3 abortion clinics, which are now down to 1. There's only 1 left in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. We are a pro-life state.
The ACLU intervened to keep EMW open, and a trial to determine the clinic's fate is set for September of 2017. The abortion clinic is still operating, but women coming here face protesters every single day.
Keep going, just keep going. Please don't murder your baby. It's not the right thing to do. Because our human happiness, forgive those who trespass against us.
What motivates you to come down here and protest outside this clinic?
Our hope is really to help these women turn away from abortion. We want to turn these women, call them away from abortion, call them to hope. What the Bible says about life in the womb, in Psalm 139, it says, it uses just graphic, just depictive language about God knitting a child together in the womb. So I really want to plead with the woman because what we're talking about is a life.
Adding red tape or passing parental consent laws are some of the ways pro-life politicians are making abortions much harder to get. This has already been going on for years in many conservative states.
I long to see the day that Roe v. Wade is consigned to the ash heap of history where it belongs.
The way this plays out is that officials are able to restrict abortions at the state level without needing to take on Roe v. Wade in the Supreme Court.
Allow that child to live.
The Trump administration says they might allow federal funding for Planned Parenthood in the future if they stop performing abortions. But the organization is clear. They won't abandon a service they consider central to their mission.
Women have always figured out how to end their pregnancies. That's gone on since the beginning of time. And the reason that Roe v. Wade was ruled as it was is because the docs stood in front of the Supreme Court and said, please stop the butchery.
The new health care bill is still being considered by the Senate, and we likely won't know its exact contents until it passes.
This bill does not have funding for Planned Parenthood. That's important. The reconciliation bill advances the pro-life cause even further.
Also unclear is how cutting off Planned Parenthood funding will impact the uninsured, the addicted, and the poor.
Here's the thing, though, I think people are kind of misunderstanding. Planned Parenthood's been around 100 years. We're going to be around 100 more. The question isn't really what's going to happen to Planned Parenthood. The question to me is what's going to happen to women, low-income women, women in rural America, women in small-town America who have very little access to affordable health care.
Hey, this is Danny Gold with AJ+. You can check out the rest of our Divided America series, where we examine the tech elite embracing the prepper movement, refugees fleeing the US for Canada, the battle over land rights in America, and the attempt to defund Planned Parenthood right now on the AJ+ YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.